Because what religion intuited and what religion expressed in mythic language, mythological language, metaphorical language, which is all religion can do. All religious language is metaphor. It's an attempt to describe something that is always beyond words. And when we forget that, we get in trouble, right? All of our language is metaphor. Now, when we finally have had the humility to start recognizing that our language is metaphorical, and then our scientific brothers and sisters start coming along, and they describe, let's say, the new quantum physics, or they describe the new awareness that the energy is really not in the particles of the atom, but in the space between the particles.
And with Einstein and quantum physics, science began to penetrate beyond matter and found that matter itself does not exist, but only can be perceived when consciousness perceives it, and that deeper than matter there is energy and information in motion, and deeper than that, the physicists are saying, it looks like the universe is more like a great thought than a great thing.
And our mind just boggles at that point, because, you know, we want to control it, fix it. And then I think of Jesus saying, you know, don't ever try to control the Spirit. The Spirit is like the wind, and it blows where it wants, and you will never be able to box it in. So there is a wonderful relationship emerging between science and religion. However, I'd have to add, this is between the better scientists and the better theologians. Your second and third level scientists tend to totally believe the materialistic paradigm, and they're caught inside of one little part of it, you know. And I'm afraid your not so good theologians or clergymen are also caught in believing their own metaphors, literally. Do you understand? And then they defend the literalism of the metaphor, and it's a waste of time at that point.
So we had a very repressive religion and a worldview that was like just lockstep, just obey your boss, you know, type of thing. We had those knights clanking around, remember in Europe, they're beating each other up, most horrible degree. And we then broke away from that and got into science, and then just used science to go and conquer everybody else. And then we made science into an absolute dogma, and it was going to solve everything. We believed in science. And then science let us down. And we're not living to be 500 years, and we're miserable, and we're depressed, and we have divorced all the time, and we're unhappy. So then we sort of crawl back into the other unreasonable attitude, you know, that, oh, God will save us. Some character who gets mad occasionally, but if you like flatter him long enough, he'll save you, you know. Or he tortures his own son, but then that'll save you, you know. I mean, a bunch of irrational ideas.
And I'm a believer in God, right? But I don't have time to defend metaphors. It's like spending your life collecting signposts and then saying my signpost is better than your signpost, and then we fight about who has the better signpost when the only point is what the signposts are pointing toward. And that's what your mystics and your great spiritual teachers understand.
It seems to me, particularly the early founders of the great religions had a consciousness opening, and they were able to experience cosmic consciousness, unitive consciousness, and they laid down a pattern of life in every culture, which basically was love the other as yourself, do unto others as you would have done, and that there is a larger consciousness than our self-conscious mind.
See, I don't see the conflict as between science and religion at all, because science and religion can have very caring, loving partnership elements, both of them, or they can have myths and stories and dogmas, both of them, that basically say, well, it's just in our genes, or it's original sin, and that's how it has to be. So I think that both can be in service of either a domination way of living or a partnership way of living.
And so people are oscillating back and forth between these two because they are like hesitant to kind of grow up and take responsibility for being there themselves, taking care of their mind, not hating people, recognizing their equality with other people, recognizing past sins of the forefathers, so to speak, and making amends for those rather than continuing to oppress.
So science and religion started out with larger consciousness, created the organized religions. Those organized religions are now beginning to break up. And up through that organized religion comes the disorganized, unique spiritual experience. And that spiritual experience now, it has a lot of resonance with the new sciences discovering the nature of reality.
Religion has deeply to do with what you think is real, what your worldview is, and what you think you are, and what you think the world is. And science is also seeking to investigate and discover that. So religion and science are interconnected in the sense that, in a way, science is the discovery of what is real, and then religion is to act in accordance with that discovery, and sometimes to take someone else's discovery, for granted, like accept their testimony about something you didn't personally discover. So there can be a little bit of a, you don't have to find out everything for yourself right away. You can have faith in what others who are reasonable people will tell you. But blind faith is not considered useful in most religions until recent times, because it's so weak. It's just like, whatever you say, with no good reason, and then that's counterproductive, because it leads to people who then will believe anything that people tell them. Very gullible, and what you call the authoritarian personality. People who have that kind of attitude tend to follow very stupid political leaders as well.
The question on the table right now, if you were granted one wish, what would that one wish be? Let's get the Christian perspective on that. If you granted one wish, what would that wish be?
Off to the phones we go. We'll start with Rod in Belleville. Rod, hi, you're on the Bob Duco Show.
Hi, Bob. I listen to your show, and I really enjoy it.
Thanks, Rod.
The one wish I have, and I'm a pastor in the Belleville area, is that everybody would come to know Jesus Christ as their personal Savior. That's it.
That's the big kahuna, right? Everybody in the world, all 6 billion people, boom, let's go, get on your knees, right?
Would that be a wonderful, wonderful thing?
What an incredible thing that would be.
He said, "It is not those who say, 'Lord, Lord,' who will enter the kingdom of heaven. It is those who do the will of my Father." And what is that will? He illustrates it in Matthew 25:40. When he talks about the final judgment, and how to be saved, he says that then the king will say, meaning God, "Come, you blessed of my Father, and inherit the kingdom that was prepared for you from the beginning. Because when I was hungry, you gave me something to eat. When I was thirsty, you gave me something to drink. When I was naked, you clothed me. When I was a stranger, you welcomed me. When I was imprisoned, you visited me. When I was sick, you consoled me." Well, when, Lord, when did we do this? When you did it to the least of my brethren. It doesn't say anything about faith in himself, faith in Jesus.
I can back up logically and intellectually why I believe what I believe. I have to decide whether or not Jesus was lying when he was on this earth. And this is one of the things that I think is a problem with a lot of the religions in the world today, is there's this ecumenical feel. People are coming together and saying, let's just find your own truth. Let's just do what feels good. If this feels true to you, then this is true. If this